Everybody always wants to talk about how perfect Lakewood Ranch is, and don't get me wrong, it is incredible. We live here, we work here, we love this community. But here's the truth. There are some things that most real estate agents will never, ever tell you about buying a home or selling a home here in Lakewood Ranch. Things that if you don't know them could cost you money and time and quite honestly, peace of mind. So in today's video, I'm gonna give you 7 things that most real estate agents don't want you to know. Are you ready? So every village here has its pain points and its perks. Let's dive into it. Let's get to the stuff that really matters to you. And real estate agents love to say that Lakewood Ranch is conveniently located. And don't get me wrong, it definitely is. You have downtown Sarasota, maybe 30, 35 minutes away. You have Tampa, which is about an hour and a half away. Then you have the beaches, Lido, Siesta, Longboat Key. They're not too far away. And on paper, that seems really fantastic. But here's the part that most real estate agents don't want to say out loud. Traffic in and around Lakewood Ranch, it is real, it is not going away, it is not getting any better, and quite honestly, it can be brutal sometimes. The main arteries that connect the ranch to the outside world, University Parkway, Lakewood Ranch Boulevard, Fruitville Road, they all back up. And the University Parkway I-75 interchange, man, that is one of the busiest choke points in the entire region. If you've ever tried to get through there during rush hour or when everyone's headed to UTC Mall on a Saturday, you know exactly what I mean. And then of course there is season from January through April. When the snowbirds get here, that traffic can easily double compared to the summer months. And that trip that used to take you 10 minutes in July now takes you about 25 minutes in February. And that is just one of the realities of living in a highly desirable, fast-growing community like Lakewood Ranch. Now, does that mean that Lakewood Ranch is not worth it? Absolutely not. But if you're moving here expecting smooth sailing with wide open roads, you're gonna be disappointed. The key is knowing how this is gonna affect your daily lifestyle. If you commute to Sarasota every morning, if you've got kids in school with drop-off and pickup times, or if you love heading to the beach on the weekends, the traffic patterns are gonna shape your experience of living here. And that is where the location inside of Lakewood Ranch really makes a difference. So the northern villages are closer to Tampa, but they're further away from Sarasota's downtown and the arts and the beaches. The villages in the southern part of Lakewood Ranch, they give you quicker beach access, but it adds minutes if you're driving north to work. So traffic is one of those things that most agents brush over because it's not really sexy to talk about, but it is one of the most practical realities about living in Lakewood Ranch. And if you don't factor it in, you could wind up in the wrong spot and then regretting it later. Hands down, one of the biggest things that buyers overlook when they move to Lakewood Ranch, it's the fees. Most agents will tell you the fees here, they're not too bad, a few $100s a month, and on the surface, that definitely sounds manageable. But what they don't explain to you is that in Lakewood Ranch, you're almost always dealing with more than just the HOA fee. First, you have the HOA dues. Those cover your community amenities and common area maintenance. Depending on the village, that could mean resort-style swimming pools, clubhouses, fitness centers, pickleball courts, and a full lifestyle calendar. And in some of the older villages, it could just cover the basic pool and maybe just a park. And then there are the CDD fees, the Community Development District Assessments. Man, that's a mouthful. So these are long-term infrastructure bonds that cover things like the roads and utilities and drainage and even some of the community amenities. They get added directly to your property tax bill, and for many homeowners in Lakewood Ranch, the CDD fee runs anywhere from about $1,000 to maybe $3,000 per year, and in some newer villages, even higher. And here's where it can get a little bit tricky because in some communities also layer in a master HOA on top of the village HOA. And that means that you could be paying the Lakewood Ranch Master Association, your specific neighborhood HOA, and then on top of that, your CDD fee. And on paper, that monthly HOA, it might look small, but in reality, you could be spending thousands of dollars per quarter once everything is stacked together. For example, in a newer village with resort amenities, you might see $350 a month in HOA, add in $2,500 per year in CDD fees, and suddenly your real carrying costs is closer to $600 or $700 a month before you even add property tax, insurance, or your utilities. Now, are those fees worth it? For a lot of people, absolutely. And in a lot of scenarios, you're paying for maintenance-free living, beautifully kept communities, and amenities that feel like you're at a vacation resort. But for others, especially those not expecting those numbers, it definitely can be a shock. And that is why it is absolutely critical to go in wide open. Don't just ask, what's the HOA fee? Ask, what's the total monthly or yearly carrying cost once you add in HOA, CDDs, and any master association fees? Because those are the numbers that really matter. All right, let me take a moment and talk to you home sellers or you potential home sellers, because I want to have a real conversation about what it takes to sell a home in Lakewood Ranch right now. You've probably heard the line, the market's strong, homes are flying off the shelves, buyers are lined up. And sure, that might have been true 3, maybe 4 years ago. But here's the reality today in 2025, 2026, if you price your home wrong, it's gonna cost you, and it won't just cost you time, it could cost you tens of thousands of dollars. And here's what happened. We see it all the time. Sellers say, let's price it a little high, we'll have a little room to negotiate. Sounds harmless, right? The problem is buyers nowadays are super savvy. They're on Zillow, they're on Redfin, they're on Realtor.com. Buyers know what homes are selling for. They know the comps. They know if your price is too high, and guess what happens? They don't come to see it, period. And then your home sits for a week, for 2 weeks, for a month, maybe 3 months, maybe 5 months. And now instead of buyers seeing it as fresh and desirable, they see it as stale. And then they start to ask, why hasn't this home sold? What's wrong with it? And that's when the price cuts start. And then here's the kicker. Every cut sends a signal. Buyers see that drop and they think the seller is desperate. Let's wait and see if they cut it again. You lose leverage, you lose negotiating power. And instead of getting top dollar, you end up chasing the market down. And I see it happen again and again. Sellers who maybe have gotten a full price offer, if they priced it right day one, end up selling it far less months after it's been on the market, and that is money that they will never ever get back. And here's another one of those truths that most real estate agents won't tell you. Lakewood Ranch punishes overpriced listings. We are in one of the most competitive real estate markets in Florida, and buyers have options. So if you don't position your home correctly from the very start, the market is gonna humble you real quick. So if you're somebody who is thinking about selling your home in Lakewood Ranch in 2025, even 2026, I want you to hear this with as much love as I possibly can. Do not fall for the, hey, let's test the market strategy. It does not work here. Price it right, market it right, and protect your equity. Okay, next up, here's one that nobody really likes to say out loud, and it is probably the most unagent-like thing that you're gonna hear me say. Lakewood Ranch, it can kind of feel a little vanilla. Okay, now don't get me wrong, Lakewood Ranch is absolutely incredible. My wife, Jessica, and I, we live here. We love it. It's clean, it's safe, it's well maintained, everything just works. The landscaping is manicured, the amenities are polished, and the neighborhoods are consistent, and on the surface, it really does look like the perfect master plan community. But that perfection, it comes with a trade-off. For some people, it feels too perfect, too uniform, too predictable. Drive through certain villages and the homes, they all look alike. The rules here, they're strict, which keeps everything pristine, but it also means that there's less individuality. You don't see quirky front porches, you don't see bold paint colors, and you certainly don't see wild architectural variety. And for some homeowners, that's the dream. It feels orderly, consistent, and reassuring. You know that your neighbor isn't painting their house purple. By the way, purple's my favorite color, so I wouldn't really care. Parking an RV in the driveway is not gonna happen. Property values are protected. The community feels polished and upscale. But for other folks, after living here for a little while, it can feel, well, a little cookie cutter. They realized they wanted more character. Maybe they missed the charm of an older downtown neighborhood where every house is different. Maybe they wanted more historic feel, or maybe just a little more variety. Now, that is not a bad thing. That's just about the fit. If you thrive in a community that is consistent and polished and well kept, well, Lakewood Ranch nails it better than just about anywhere else in Florida. If you crave diversity in architecture, more individuality, or a little bit of edge, Lakewood Ranch just might feel a little too vanilla after a while. So here's the truth. Lakewood Ranch, it isn't about quirks or about character, it's about polish and planning. Now, from my experience, that is either exactly what you want or it's not. And it's better to know that before you buy than after. Okay, how you guys doing? You with me so far? All right, hang tight for this one. So if you move to Lakewood Ranch, one of the things that you will notice very quickly is that construction does not seem to stop here. Lakewood Ranch isn't finished, not even close. It is still one of the fastest growing master plan communities in the entire country, and that means that growth is just constant. Now, for a lot of buyers, the marketing photos only show the finished side, the polished clubhouse, the sparkling swimming pool, the shiny new homes. But what you don't always see is what's right behind the camera: dump trucks, bulldozers, construction crews, and brand new faces just breaking ground. And in places like Waterside, there are plans for a decade or more of construction still ahead. That means traffic detours, noise, dust, early morning trucks. They're just gonna be part of daily life there. By the way, I'm not sure if you can hear that. Can you hear that noise? That is somebody mowing their lawn. There's somebody right over here with a leaf blower. I came to this exact spot yesterday to record a video, and I couldn't because the landscaping crews were here. And here we are 24 hours later, still all the noise. Now, does that mean that you shouldn't buy in Lakewood Ranch? Of course not. Growth is actually one reason that values here have held strong. With new homes, new schools, new shopping, new restaurants constantly being added, you're buying into a community that is evolving and expanding, and that brings opportunity. But you definitely need to know the trade-offs. You're not moving into a finished product. You're actually moving into a community that is still a work in progress. And for some people, that's super exciting. They love seeing new restaurants open, new schools being built, new amenities being added. For others, it's frustrating. They want quiet streets, no trucks, no noise. Okay, so the truth is that construction in Lakewood Ranch is not something that's going to settle down, certainly not anytime soon. It is the reality of living in a master plan community that is still growing and will be for years. Now, if you're okay with that, fantastic. If you're not, you probably want to know that before you move here. Okay, so here is one of those reality checks that definitely catches buyers off guard. The lot sizes here in Lakewood Ranch are kind of small. If you've only seen the glossy marketing photos, you might picture yourself with a big backyard, room to spread out, maybe even a little extra privacy between homes. But when you actually walk through the new construction villages, you quickly realize that most homes sit really close together. Now, this certainly isn't unique just to Lakewood Ranch. It's how master plan communities nowadays are just designed. Builders, of course, want to maximize the number of homes per acre. Buyers, of course, want amenities like clubhouses, pools, and fitness centers. And the trade-off is just smaller lots. And in many of the newer villages, your side yard might only be 10 feet wide. You'll see rows of homes with pools practically right next to each other. And while it looks great in the brochures, the reality is you'll hear your neighbor's pool pump, you'll see into their lanai, and the privacy, it's kind of limited. Now, does it mean that everybody hates it? No, of course not. For many homeowners, it's definitely worth it. You're trading space for convenience, new homes, modern layouts, resort-style amenities, and low-maintenance yards. But if privacy and maybe a little bit of elbow room is high on your list, then you definitely need to know your options. Older villages like Greenbrook Village and Summerfield, they were built 15, 25 years ago when developers gave buyers much larger lots. Now, on a side note, I am recording this village in Greenbrook Village. Why? Because first of all, it's absolutely gorgeous. Second of all, Greenbrook is where we live. I've done a handful of videos about Greenbrook Village. I'll put some links in the description down below. You should definitely check it out. It's a great neighborhood. You'll find bigger yards, more space between homes, and mature landscaping. The homes may need a little updating, but again, you've got some breathing room. Or if you really want some space, you have to look beyond Lakewood Ranch, head east, there's Panther Ridge or Mayaka City. There you'll find half-acre, 1 acre, 5 acres, 20-acre lots. Of course, you give up some of the convenience and the amenities of Lakewood Ranch, but you get the land and privacy, and it's just a beautiful part of Florida. And again, on another little side note, if you've watched this channel long enough to know, we live in Greenbrook Village. Before Greenbrook Village, we lived on the beautiful island of Maui. And then before the beautiful island of Maui, we actually lived in Mayaka City for about a decade. We were on acreage, on about 5.5 acreage. And quite honestly, at that time, my real estate business was all about selling acreage. Even to this date, I am still one of the top acreage specialists in Sarasota and Manatee County. Okay, I digress. But if you want land, you might want to consider Mayaka City. It really is one of my most favorite places in the entire state. So here's the truth. In Lakewood Ranch itself, small lots, they're just normal. If you're okay with that, great. But if you want elbow room, you either need to go older or go east. And it's better to know that now than to move into a place and realize that your neighbor's pool cage is practically in your backyard. Here's something that most people don't realize. Not all parts of Lakewood Ranch are created equal. Yes, it is one big master plan community. And yes, everything has that polished look and that feel, but the village that you choose changes your daily life and your commute and your access to the beaches, even the vibe of your neighborhood. Okay, so let's break it down. So if you're on the north side, think Esplanade de Zario, Lorraine Lakes, or new construction near State Road 64, you're closer to Parrish, you're closer to Ellerton, and ultimately you're closer to Tampa. That's great if you commute north for work or if you travel through Tampa International Airport, but it also means that you are further from Sarasota, further from the Gulf beaches, and your lifestyle leans a little more suburban, a little more up and coming than established. If you head south, we're talking about Waterside, the Lake Club, Country Club East. You're much closer to Sarasota itself, downtown Sarasota and St. Armand Circle. They're still maybe 35, 45 minutes, but here's the reality. The beaches, they're still gonna be 35, 40 minutes depending on traffic and the season. That's a huge perk compared to the north side if you want to blend Lakewood Ranch's suburban feel with Sarasota's culture, restaurants, and water access. Now, if you head east, Panther Ridge, the Highlands, or the acreage towards Mayaka City, life slows down a little bit. You get more space, you get some land, you get some privacy, you trade HOA rules and packed amenities for a little bit of elbow room and some quiet, but your grocery store, it isn't 2 minutes away anymore. And now you'll be driving maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes for restaurants, or to get to Lakewood Ranch Main Street events. And for some people, that is paradise. For others, it is definitely a deal breaker. And on the west side, Summerfield, Greenbrook Village, Edgewater, you're in the original villages. Mature trees, larger lots, close to Lakewood Ranch Main Street and the hospital. These, they tend to feel a little more established with character that newer villages just do not have. But on the flip side, a lot of the homes are older, they may need some updates, and while you're central, you're seeing more traffic as Lakewood Ranch continues to grow around you. Okay, so the bottom line is this: Lakewood Ranch's location isn't one size fits all. Where you buy determines if you're closer to Tampa, or the beaches, or culture, or space. And if you don't think about that up front, you could wind up in a beautiful house that's in the wrong spot for your lifestyle. So yes, Lakewood Ranch, it is incredible. My wife and I live here. We work here. I do almost all of my videos here, but let's be real. This place is not perfect, and pretending to do so does not help anybody. The traffic is real, and it's not getting any better. The fees, they add up fast. The lot sizes, they are definitely tight. Construction just never seems to stop here. And the location definitely changes your lifestyle, whether that's your commute, whether that's access to downtown Sarasota, or how often you actually want to make it to the beach. Now, if you know that going in, Lakewood Ranch could be one of the best decisions that you ever made. But if you buy blindly, chasing the dream without understanding the trade-offs, you can wind up frustrated or worse, regretting your move. See, I would rather that you know the truth up front so that you make the right decision. Hey, by the way, which one of these 7 surprised you the most? Drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear your take. So here's where I'll be a little blunt. If you are even thinking about buying a home or selling a home in Lakewood Ranch, whether that's Waterside, Greenbrook, or the Lake Club, do not rely on half-truths, sales pitches, or what your neighbor says over cocktails. That is how people make mistakes, and those mistakes cost real money. I've seen it happen firsthand. Sellers who overprice because somebody told them that the market's still hot, only to sit for months, make multiple price cuts, and end up walking away with tens of thousands of dollars less. Buyers who rush into a neighborhood without understanding the fees and the traffic or the construction, and 6 months later, they're frustrated and call me to help them get out. And of course, that does not have to be you. That is why I offer a free, simple 15-minute discovery call. You can scan this QR code. I'll put a link in the description down below. We will cut through the noise. I will look at your situation honestly. We will figure out whether or not this is going to be the right move for you. No scripts, no gimmicks, of course, no sugarcoating, just the truth. Because in Lakewood Ranch, one wrong decision isn't just inconvenience, it could punish you financially, and I don't want that to happen to you. My name is Adam Miller with the 941 Lifestyle Group. My wife, Jessica, and I, she's a real estate agent as well. We live here, we work here, we know this community inside and out. And here's my promise to you. You are always going to get the truth from me about living in Lakewood Ranch, actually living in Sarasota, anywhere in Sarasota, Manatee County. You will just hear the truth and nothing but the truth. So help me, Adam. I appreciate you watching. We'll see you in the next video, everyone.